a major river, the way the rules are written, there would be no effect. Because you must all be attacking across a major river or all attacking across a minor river, in order to be affected by either. Now that seems a little unreasonable. I'd give the lesser effect. But again, there's little things like that that I feel you have to kind of fill in the gaps on. There were also, when I set it up, when I set it up, I noticed some of the strength point counters didn't match the setup rules precisely. Now, when I flipped the counters over on their reverse side, they were closer. So I went with that. Again, trying to guess. I don't want to mark up my counters. I can't tell which to give precedence to. So be warned that you may have to make some little corrections like that. There's also a part of the map here, for good or bad, that's used up for advertising space. For me, or branding space. For me, it's fine because it gives me room to put all these tracks. You also have a turn record track over here. And I've got my reinforcements set out. Actually, I should only have them set out until November for Schlieffen. Things sort of start changing partway through November, where the game takes sort of these general rules for replacements and supply points and such not. I'll have to correct that as I go. All right. Anything else? We got standard units here, with your attacks or combat strength and a movement value. Nothing exciting there. There's a little number. It's hard to do this with my hand. A little number in a circle up there. That indicates the maximum strength of that kind of unit when being replaced. And that's kind of important because there are some units, I don't know if I've got them on the board, that are actually larger than their maximum. I think the French Guards, for example, I don't know, those Colonials are not. And that actually affects some other things as to what kind of replacement points you can use, etc. You've got supply tracks, and this may actually be, these should be at 100. There's no space for 100, but things can get up to 100, and these guys start there. So that's 200, 275, 300. That's immediately in violation of another rule, so you kind of have to fudge that and say, okay, during the Schlieffen plan scenario, certain rules aren't in place. It's just, there's a lot of little pieces like that you've got to put together and kind of say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't quite right. Anyway, let's get into how the rules themselves work. You also have these core displays, which are really just places to put your counters. You can use some little core markers. I have some over here somewhere. In order to indicate units that are on the board. You also have Army headquarters. You also have another kind of core marker here, which is what happens when you put 3 units together in terms of strength points. So that's an alternative way to show things. These are just supposed to be conveniences. I can understand going both ways, but okay. We'll leave that be. For the map, there's an intention that this system be used for all the early 20th century wars. Because of that, we've got World War II era railroad tracks, single and double. I haven't been able to find a World War II era single track that I can clearly identify, but I do see some places where there's dashed lines for a World War I track and kind of solid in there for the World War II. Again, maybe a little difficult to cope with. And there's some stuff that's not necessary for this game. For example, these production things, I'm assuming that these are going to come into play in the Grand Campaign, which has been put together. The Grand Campaign would be one monster, though, I think. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. So, a turn, The game is divided